Good evening, people. Welcome to BNR. Welcome to Instant Match Reaction. It's myself, Asim. You know by now. Sarib, as ever, the guy who puts the thumbnail behind his back and promotes the page, promotes the channel, promotes the show whenever he can, and he promotes it properly on the night we go live. But welcome to everyone who's in the building. Welcome to everyone who's going to watch the show later. Liverpool are through to the last 8 of the Carabao Cup. So let's see if there's another trip to Wembley. When is the final? Sarib, is it January? Is it February? I've not even looked.
If I'm not mistaken, I think this one is going to be right at the end of Feb. So I think it might be 1st of March. I think it doesn't say it. I'm trying to find out when the final date is.
Whilst you look, Ash is in the house. He says, "Great win. Have a good show, lads. Thank you very much, Ash." Craig, it says, evening, guys. And Fahim Shah, our very own Fahim, has got a tiger in his profile picture. He says, Salaam alaikum, bros. Nice to see Fahim in the house. It's been a while. Luke says, big up, lads. Big up, guys. Aberdeenio. Craig says, poor performance today. We'll dive into it, Craig. Stick around and see what we take of make of the game. But we're going to go...
It's a late. Sorry, so this is a late final this year. It's on March the 16th for some reason. Normally, yeah, it's a bit of a yeah. That's what it says here. That's what it says right here. March the 16th, 2020. Carabao Cup final C2 team showdown for March 16th, 2025.
Wow.
Yeah, it's a bit weird.
It's a bit of a late one. It's a late one, but we've got a couple of games to go before then. But we beat Brighton today for large part. Sarib, I thought we looked comfortable. We might not have been penetrating their goal, especially in the first half, bar 2-3 brilliant slot ball moves. But I thought we had the game under control. But we'll structure it as we do. But before we do, hit the likes, as Aberdeenio says, and smash a like. Let us know what you think. Man of the Match awards, and let us know what you think in the comments. And if you're watching the show later on, we always go back to the comments and try to reply to them. Some more than others, mentioning no names.
Let me off today, guys. Let me off. Give me a break today.
You know, when I watch the show, I check the comments around about 11, 12 o'clock at midnight, Sarib, and they're on about 20 comments. I wake up in the morning and they've doubled.
Get him off. He hasn't got a clue. He hasn't got a Scooby. Come on in.
But yeah, let's go to the lineup, Sarib. I let people know that Tyler Morton is starting around about 2-3 o'clock. And then Jaros, a few more surprises for you, or did you expect 7-8 changes that we got tonight?
You know what? I expected changes, but Slot alluded to in the press conference. I think he was asked whether the press conference for the Brighton game. He was asked whether are you going to make the same amount of rotations that you did against West Ham. He said it's impossible at the moment because of player injuries, but he hinted slowly that Endo deserves to play. Jaros, I'm thinking about playing him. No mention about Tyler Morton though. Not that I remember. Morton was a bit of a surprise because I didn't think it'd be Endo and Morton. I think it'd been either or, but I thought he would go with Endo and someone more experienced alongside Endo, but just because it is a Premier League game. Like technically we are playing a Premier League side. It's not a like a Barnsley it's a decent. It's Brighton are a good team. Let's not lie. We have a pretty shit record here recently as well. So Jaros, maybe I'm a bit surprised with Jaros starting, but I'm not against it because he saw his performance tonight. We're definitely there into that.
Why are you surprised though, Sarib? Because I think we have to protect Kelleher. Kelleher was out. I think he was ill, wasn't he, about a couple of weeks ago? I think with Alisson back. I don't know when he's back. We have to protect him though. The games are coming thick and fast.
Yeah, but how unlikely is it for a keeper to get injured? It's very rare. But we have the most injury. We have the most injury-prone keeper in the history of football, Alisson. But with Kelleher, I don't see a need to rotate goalkeepers like that. Like unless you've got two elite ones, like I don't know, Man City can do it regularly because they both play the same way. But with Liverpool, the only reason Kelleher plays games is because Alisson's injured. Otherwise, I think Alisson will start 90% of the matches. But I don't think there was need for rotation. But I was definitely not against it because Jaros's performance against Palace was very, very good. Whatever he had in the game. And today he was class. He made that brilliant save in the game. Ridiculous save actually. But we'll definitely get into that. Yeah, it was a bit of a surprise for me though. What about you, Asim? A bit of a surprise, but I don't know, a bit of a surprise for you when you got the news.
Talimon ish. But
Why?
what surprised me because okay, let me take that back. I wasn't surprised with Tyler Bolton. What I was surprised with was with the Robertson inclusion.
Yeah, yeah.
And
That's
you asked
telling.
the question, didn't you, on
That's
Twitter,
telling. Yeah.
saying does that make Shimika's first choice, especially for Saturday? And I wanted to see what you think of it because you asked the question. What do you
Yeah.
think the answer is? Is he
I
playing him because he's concerned he lacks rhythm, he lacks intensity? Because he looked a half a yard or a yard off it against Saka, and most of the fullbacks will do. But
yeah.
once you lose that half a yard because of age, because of a lot of fuel in your mileage in your legs, Sarib, you never get that back. And are we seeing the Robertson that you normally see? I know he's only 30, 31, but is he for at this elite level? Are we seeing the twilight years of Robertson, if I may say so?
Yeah, I think some fans were alluding to it on Twitter. I think he's in his Fabinho era,
Ah,
where
okay.
he's in that position where haven't really got much of a choice there because Simicas at times is a bit is a bit shambolic on the ball sometimes. Can be a bit out of position sometimes. Not this season, but we're just
Yeah.
speaking generally. And obviously Robertson has the experience. He has the legs, no doubt. He has the ability to put the ball in the box as the Simicas, but Robertson is obviously more experienced playing at the higher level than Costas because he's played in a lot more bigger matches. But I think today was very, very telling as to how Arnie Slot now sees Andy Robertson, because the Arsenal game, he wasn't great. He wasn't great. I don't think he was particularly. He's been okay. He's been. No, let's get this. Let me just say this straight. He has
But
been.
can't we? Do we have to make that judgment come Saturday 3 o'clock? Because what if Robertson plays on Saturday, and then we have to? We have,
Then I would suggest that Simicas might have a bit of a niggle, or might have a bit of a maybe. I don't know. But
really?
as of now, Asim, if he started Robertson today and he started him against Arsenal, he started him in the cup game, that's surely telling that he's going to start another player, because there's no way Robertson plays 3 games in a week. It's not going to happen. It just won't happen, especially at his age now. It's not going to happen. How intense that we play the game, how controlled. I think we look more controlled, better in possession when Costas Simicas plays, because Simicas, I think, can use both of his feet really, really well. Whereas Robertson, he's always shifts the ball to his left. He's been using his right a bit more this season, but you can see he tries to move everything to his left hand side. Where Simicas can play both sides as well, really, really well. But that was telling. I think that was a statement from Slot that you are now second fiddle. If you don't sharpen up very, very quickly, you're going to be out of the team, because we're trying to win this league title. If you have performances like that against Arsenal, you won't be in my team. Because Costas has done no wrong this season when he's come at him. You have to be honest. Whenever Costas has come in, bar the AC Milan game where he was out of position, Costas has not put a foot wrong, and you can't deny that.
Are you concerned though with Shimikas's 1v1 individual quality? Because you're right. I think he's technically better than Robbo.
Yeah.
If he inverts, he can use his right foot, his ball manipulation, his technical ability is much better than Robbo. He doesn't have the legs even now at this late stage of Robertson's. We're talking like Robertson's 38. He's 30, 31. But he has got a lot of intensity over the years, and some players do get burnt out, quicker than others. And I think it might be a bit of lack of confidence, a lack of, comfort as well in this role. I think I like him on the outside. Robertson is always comfortable on the outside. On the inside, if he's driving into the space and they're driving into the box, he still can be a good decoy, even if he doesn't get the ball. But I think when he's inside and he needs to connect with some triangles, that's where his deficiencies lie. But I think you're right. Shimikas I think Shimikas shows an extra yard of pace against Arsenal. And it's a lot easier coming on when you've got, 20, 30 minutes to play or whatever he played at the weekend. But you're right. He does maybe deserve a chance. My only concern with Shimikas, you can still get at him a lot easier.
I think that's for maybe not Trent this season, but I think that's for all our fullbacks, right or left. You can get a Conor Bradley 1v1, you can get a Robbo 1v1, you can get a Simicast 1v1. And it ties in nicely to this question that Amir asked. He goes, Simi isn't a better option in the long term, good enough as a backup, but we really should be looking at the market in general. And I think that's just why, because I think Robertson and Simicast, they struggle one of it. Robertson's obviously a better 1v1 than Costas, I think, because obviously he's played against better players over his career and in the bigger matches. But when you're losing your legs, when you're in the twilight of your career, when you've played at such an intense level for 7-8 years, Asim, because let's not take the piss there. Robertson has been playing at an elite level for 6-7 years.
100%.
Of course, it's going to take a toll on the body. We saw it with Fabinho. We see with so many players. Maybe Joel Matip, you saw his level was a bit off in the year after we got the 92 points, 22, 23 was a bit off it. And last season he bounced back. But again, the long-term injuries, Joel Matip got injured and he's done his ACL. That might be impact. But when you play at such an intense level for so many years, it takes a toll on the body. Robertson's body age might be 35, 36, or he's 31, but he's played at such a high level in his career in such an intense system. It's gonna happen, Asim. Whereas Costas hasn't.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see what happens at the weekend. Who plays on their right? Who plays on their right in their first team?
Adingra, Mitoma. They've got.
Mitoma will be on the left the weekend.
Ruta. Who else have they got? I think that's it. You know, who's Brighton's other winger? Solly Martin. He's not going to be available, I don't think.
Okay. Let's see what happens. What do you think will happen on Saturday? You think Chimikas will get the nod?
Yeah, I think Costas will get the nod. I'll be very surprised if Robbo's in this team. Oh, Minter as well. Minter, that's the I forgot about Minter. He signed for them in the summer, didn't he?
Yeah, Minter with Chimikas at the weekend. I think Minter.
I have my concerns.
One of the best speeds, the fastest. Yeah, one of the fastest speeds this season, along with Virgil van Dijk. I think Trent was on there as well. You know,
highest clock speeds.
Yeah,
it must have been.
Once Trent gets going, he's got some legs in him. You know, at very high speed, as the stats suggest. But
Craigos Costas will be in.
That's a good one.
I hope not.
Look, the guys who are struggling to cope with, we're not bashing Robbo. We're here to analyze. We're here to provide a bit of perspective.
Yeah.
The way Arne Slot plays with his team, he wants a lockdown left back. What does that mean? He wants a left back, especially against the big teams, to stay in the last line and play progressive passes into midfield. Now, that's not Robertson's strength. If teams are going and shutting up shop or having playing there with a low block, as we saw Brighton sit off at times, then Robertson can drive into space and be the sixth attacker. Whether he's starting on the halfway line or arriving from deeper areas for the overlap, that he can still do that. Maybe at not the intense levels that he used to, but he's still decent at. And when the ball is rolling, his delivery is not bad. I still doubt his deliveries on the corners, not as good as Chimikas on a dead ball situation. But that's the problem. But if you're going to keep your left back, whose better strengths or the best strengths of his are going forward and arriving late into situations or providing an option as the sixth attacker, then you have to make sure when they do stay behind, they're physical and can cope with the left back. And I don't think that's his strength. His strength was all about intensity as arriving into the tackle. And that when you're a yard shorter pace or a yard short in that tackle or intense levels you don't have, then you're gonna come on in unstuck. And that's the problem in Robertson at the moment. And maybe it's a bit of lack of confidence as well. But look, it's still early in the season. I think sometimes these sort of players need a kick up of the arse, Sarib. And hopefully, and this is what I like about Arne Slot, he's making some tough decisions, whether they're short-term ones, long-term ones. You have to give this guy credit. He's come and he's played around about 11, 12 games this season as he made some big calls already. We saw it on the first day of the season, taking a young kid in Kwanzaa off halftime and putting Kanate, and Kanate has been unbelievable since then. So let's see what happens.
I think
you wanted to say something.
I think I alluded to something like that in the summer. I don't know what show it was, but I said if this was Jurgen Klopp in charge, I think he would have started Robertson. I think Costas would have started saying he would start Robbo, even if Robbo was in poor form, because how many times did we see Asim? Even the 21-22, but Costas started the season really well. He got that assist for Jota against Burnley, that brilliant cross, and then Jota first goal of this since the COVID at home. Klopp always used to just put Robertson back in, regardless of how good Costas' form was, Tsimikas. And I thought that was a bit unfair because obviously loyalty. But I said Arnie Slot's coming to a team. He has no loyalty to any player. None of
Yeah,
these are his players. He's not
yeah,
signed any of these players. He's not had time with any of these players. It's like, so everyone's on phase one. Whereas, Tsimikas might be in phase two. Robertson was on phase 7 or 8 because he's played a lot more games for Jurgen Klopp. That's what I said. I think same with Darwin Núñez. If Klopp was still in charge, I think Núñez will start the season. Obviously, Jota's starting the games because obviously he has no loyalties and he obviously believes Jota's a better player. Whereas Klopp had the signing of Núñez of 70 odd million. He wanted to maybe prove doubt was wrong. And I'm not saying it's an ego thing, but when you push an opinion, as in for me and you, for example, you try to give even if it's wrong, you want to be able to push that it's going to be correct. Like
yeah.
you give stats to try and prove it's correct, and you keep going until you get right. I'm a bit like that myself. I'd say the most craziest take, like I don't know, sell Mohamed Salah, and then over the next 5, I wouldn't say that by the way. I would say over the next 5 games, he doesn't get a goal, and I'll be like, okay, I told you so. Then he scores, and then you slap me in the face. But that's what I mean. Slot's got no loyalty to any player, so maybe that's an element to it. But let me ask you, if he truly believes the left back's an issue, why didn't he address it in the summer? Or why were we not in for a left back? Why is Robertson still playing if it's an issue? Why do you think?
I think I genuinely think the manager knows where the deficiencies and the weaknesses lie in this team. His main priority was the midfield. He wanted, like everyone has been surprised by the development and the performance levels of Ryan Gravenberch. Even the manager, he said that publicly on many occasions. But I think his main priority was to get that controller in midfield, the volume passer, as we like to call it on here. And whether he goes and dips into the market again, we don't know. But Sarib, I think the board and Liverpool as a club must have told him that you've only got one signing this summer. I'm sure he wanted to have a look at the areas, and that main area was the midfield, and the second priority was a left back. I think that Chiesa signing was opportunistic. It made sense as for a business, as a financial transaction for Liverpool. Bring a sixth attacker in, especially with the question marks against Jota's fitness, Núñez's little niggles here and there where he picks up. Who else is got a question mark on them? Salah's hamstring injury last year. He wasn't going to be playing week in, week out. I know we don't have an African nation. Jones. I'm just specifically looking at the attackers here, but we needed a sixth attacker. So I think he knows where that second area of priority is. Whether Liverpool told him that you can probably realistically bring one in, I'm not so sure. Obviously, we had the cloud of the contract situation again. And look, let's be honest, we couldn't get Zubimendi over the line. And then we were told that, there's no other targets, even though I would have liked another, we're always told this data team works on like number 1 option, number 2, number 3. And we generally, like Salah wasn't the number 1 option, was he? Wasn't for Klopp anyway. He was Brandt, the Dortmund guy, wasn't he? That Jurgen Klopp wanted, but the data team wanted. But I'm sure there were Gotze was another one as well. But I'm sure the data team had 1 or 2, but maybe the manager said, look, I'm okay to go with Ryan Gravenberch and work with what we have. But why? Sorry?
He hasn't really got a choice, has he?
Yeah, and I think the way Arnie Slot uses, this is the big point for me, is he doesn't use him as a pure third centre back. No. I think if he did use the left back as a pure third centre back, I think Joe Gomez would see a lot more time in that area. But because you come inside, and we still, especially against the low block, use that left back in the underlap situations, space invading on the overlap against a low block, I think you still have a lot more versatility in that left back, which Tsimikas and Robertson, to be fair, Robertson has had a decent season. Gene's in the chat. I always invite him to the show, and he says it's 3 o'clock. Well, I know that guy too well. He'll be sat on his ass or laying in bed watching the show. He can't resist. When football talk is about, Gene's in the building. But that's why I think you have to, doesn't matter how much managers say, Sarib, or we want to look at the squad. I think there's to a large extent, there's element of truth in that as well.
No, of course.
Doesn't matter how much you see the guys on TV, even
Yeah,
from Holland, you need to see these guys on the training field.
yeah,
And look, who was to say that Ryan Gravenberch would be our number 6? And in the
yeah.
same way, I think it wasn't a total write-off in that area. It still can work, but against the elite teams, against really top, high-level wingers, we
Still
need
question mark.
someone to
Yeah.
really, lock down that area. So I think he had a question mark, but he was prepared to have a look at the area. And now, how he's bringing Shimikas in some games, how he's left him out today as well, that's, I think, the first sign of maybe Arne Slot saying, okay, I need to address this situation. And I hope he addresses it in January.
Yeah, same with me. Maybe I say maybe what is he needed these 13, 14 games to give Robbo at least a run to see if he's going to be able to deal with it. And generally, I think he's been okay. But maybe that's what it is, because I think we've said it on the show as well. Arne Slot's still trying to put his imprint on this team. It's not going to happen overnight. He said it as well. You're not going to see the best of me till later down in the season. And I think that's a very fair claim. He's still early in the job. I think people fail to ignore that. He's only 15 or 14 or 15 games played. It's very, very early, and the signs obviously promising. And I like the way he's not afraid to make big changes. We saw it against Ipswich on the opening day of the season after halftime. We saw it maybe today with if Costa starts on Saturday, it will be very, very. It will be a big talking point among Liverpool fans, especially the top Reds.
Yeah, 100%. There was a few other inclusions in the back line. Sarib, Conor Bradley got his first start after a while. Joe Gomez at centre back. What do you make of them two as a performance? We'll come to the big hitters later on. Obviously, you've started about 1 million comments about Cody Gakpo tonight already. So we'll make sure we have a special segment on Cody Gakpo tonight. And you can lead on that by all means.
Cody.
But Bradley and Gomez, first, their inclusion in their team, and on your thoughts on their performance.
Conor Bradley, I'm a bit surprised of. I think Arne Slot, again, in his press conference, alluded to the point where he said Conor Bradley is going to be fit and available, but obviously he didn't come on as a substitute against Arsenal. So it was telling that generally what we saw under the previous regime, I'll keep alluding to it, but generally what we see is that if a player doesn't play in the previous game, he's not going to get a start in the next game. So to me, it was surprising. So maybe Conor Bradley showed his fitness in training, and maybe that's different with Arne Slot. So maybe I was a bit surprised with Conor Bradley. Joe Gomez at centre back, not particularly surprised. I did say I thought Van Dijk would start. I think I said it to you before. I said before the game kicked off as well, and before the lineup came. I thought Van Dijk would start with Kwanzaa and Gomez as a right back, because I assumed Bradley would be on the bench. But Gomez at centre back, he's been utilised and start early in the season as a centre back, and now he's coming at right back. I think Gomez is playing the utility role again, doing that centre back shift, right back shift. He comes on sometimes as a right back, comes on side as a centre back, but. Again, there's a comment here, Asim. He says Slot really likes Bradley. I think he's one of his favorites, and I believe so. And maybe that could be the question mark on Trent Alexander-Arnold, which we'll 100% get into. But Kwanzaa, not surprised. He is the cup centre back, and we'll dive deeper into his performance. But Gomez and Kwanzaa, I'm not a biggest fan of them as a partnership. I already had my doubts about Gomez as a centre half. And obviously, Kwanzaa's not played enough games, still inexperienced. So I think we needed somebody like a Virgil in there just to command that. Obviously, Virgil's played a lot of minutes as well. So what do you really do? But I don't think that was... not surprised necessarily about Gomez, more surprised about Bradley, but I can understand it. Yourself? You're on mute though, Asim. You're on mute. I don't think they were great though, I'll be honest.
Okay. Just to touch on Bradley... Do you think he suits Liverpool or Arne Slot's style more than Trent? And why do you think that?
Because I think Conor Bradley, as a complete fullback, as in defensively and going forward, obviously Trent is elite going forward, ridiculous elite. Defensively, he's been really, really solid this season. But Bradley's a proper fullback. He's a proper high energy, high octane fullback. He's got a good cross on him as well. I think 1v1 he can struggle at times, and I think today we saw that against Adingra, etc., and Mitoma when he came on. A bit of pace, you can get Conor Bradley, and I think he was at fault for the goal against Nottingham Forest as well. But he struggles against, especially this season, I've seen he struggled against players with pace. But I think that's the lack of experience at the top level. Again, I think that will come, and I think he is a decent player. But I think if Trent leaves, Bradley coming in, although I think we need cover in that position, I don't think Bradley is able to just be the only right back and have a, the level between Trent and Bradley is high, but it's still a healthy competition. I think we need someone similar of Bradley's level to come in to at least give him some sort of kick up the arse, because he'll be the only right back at the club. That's half decent, but I think Slot likes him. And as games go by, I can see deficiencies in his game, but obviously going forward, he's really, really good. And I think as a complete fullback, I think he suits us a lot better, because he is a very good fullback. There's no two ways about it. I think he's more like He's more like a Robertson type of fullback than a Trent Alexander-Arnold, if you know what I mean. He's high energy.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
Yeah. Whereas Trent likes to pick the killer pass from deeper areas. Sometimes he likes to invert. Bradley's not that type of fullback.
Yeah, I know what you mean. The thing is, it was early days in Slot's tenure.
Yeah.
I was wanting to see how he uses that right back. If it's going to be different to the way he used it at Feyenoord, and I think it's very, very similar. Does it suit Trent's first sort of biggest strengths? I don't think so. Can Trent do it? Of course.
Yeah.
But Trent, even if you ask him, he wants the ball to feet.
Yep.
Because that's his best strength. Ball to feet, technical ability. He can find you and put the ball on the sixpence from anywhere on the football pitch. But the way Arne Slot, especially against teams that we control the ball a lot, and you saw it at times, even the first and second half, where it's a 3-2 build-up. You've got Robertson, Kwanzaa, and Gomez, and then you've got Morton and Endo. Bradley is in the right half space, in that right channel, and he's going further and further up, and sometimes he finds himself in the number 10 position, back to goal, and then he's connecting with Salah, connecting with Soboslai. That is the Arne Slot right back going forward. Can Trent do it? Of course he can. He can go on the underlap, he can go on the overlap and cross it, he can go on the right half space. Similar situation where he found himself in the second half against Arsenal, crossing that ball in. Who better at crossing is better than Trent? Not many, if any. But I think I'm concerned about the lack of influence on the ball when it comes to Trent. I think we're not using his ball. Now, so a lot of fans will say, look, at the end of the day, this is how we play. We don't have a lot of reliance on him. But I think we look a better football team than Trent if he's playing in that middle channel, whether he's putting balls into the number 10 or whipping it left and right to the wingers. Arne Slot might not like that because he would rather have the number 10 making those decoy, right back making those decoy runs. But I think I'm a bit concerned. Early days, but I don't know. His way of thinking might be, this is my right back. This is how I want it. I want him a bit more conventional. But I think Liverpool look a better team when Trent inverts into midfield. But a lot of fans don't like it, and I'm
not a fan
understand why they say it. But I think Liverpool get more control in a game when Trent is in midfield.
I think there's a lot of aspects to this. I think there's I'll dive deep into. I think there's the future of Trent, which is why he's playing this way. I think he wants the number 6 to play with the ball a lot more, and obviously Trent being in there, he'd be the best on the ball out of Maka, Gravenberch, and Trent. And I do understand because it gives us a lot. He likes to progress the ball from midfield a lot more on his slot, because what was the word? Midfield. What was it? He's obsessed with midfield. What's the word I'm looking for?
For which number 6 role?
No, generally from his midfielders, Arne Slot's obsessed with mid. There was a word. He's obsessed with midfield. What is the word?
Progression.
Yeah, no, it's another word for progression, but it's along those lines. I think having another body in there obviously does give us more control. When you have elite controller like Trent Alexander-Arnold on the ball, his ball retention abilities are one of the best I've ever seen from any position. Right back, right midfield, left back. I've seen him play all sorts of positions now. Really, really good. But if Trent's playing this up and down role that he's been playing this season a lot more than he has been in the last couple of years, and obviously Conor Bradley plays the same way, and Trent's in the last couple of months of his contract, do you think he's preparing for life after Trent?
That's a really good question. Really,
that's what
it's a really good question, and a lot of fans are saying maybe that's the reason why Conor Bradley's getting a lot of minutes. Is this intense role? I know he's been saying, can Trent do it for 90 minutes? I'm trying to protect Trent. I want the best of Trent and all the players, not just in October and November, but come March and April. And May, I want my elite players, fresh for the business end of the season. So I can understand that. But I don't know. I just think Trent's, my personal opinion, Trent's best strengths are when he's on the ball and there's runners off him, whether it's around him or 50 yards further up. Where he might not want that. He might want Trent to be a bit more expansive further up the field. So if he loses the ball, our rest defense is in a lot better position to win back the ball. Whether he does it alongside Gravenberg and then pings balls left, right, and center, that might not be Arnie Slot's vision of the right back. But a lot of people say, I think there was one, Ahmed was saying, never liked the invert, leaves us exposed at the back. If you go, but again, we don't need to invert against, for example, teams like Brentford and West Ham. If we do it, there'll be a part where they're overloading the midfield. But I think you have to judge us against Arsenal. We were posed with so many problems after 15, 20 minutes up until the end of the first half is because Partey wasn't inverting in midfield. And Havertz was dragging McAllister out. So it was vacating our double pivot and leaving gaps, so many gaps. But if we did that on the ball, we'd have the numerical advantage as well, where Diaz would be pinning Partey. That's why top coaches do it. The inversion, and we can do it. Why? Because we've got Kanate to go out there and protect. I don't think, and the reason why I don't think it worked and it exposed Trent to an extent is because when we do lose the ball under Jurgen Klopp, our rest defense or structure is not as good as what we have it again with Arnie Slot. Arnie Slot is all about short passes and then going at the right time. If you need to make the vertical pass, then it's fine because we're in a lot better positions to lose the ball. So that is the difference. And I think a lot of fans were put off by it is because our midfield was really dysfunctional and we weren't playing the pass at the right time because Jurgen Klopp is a lot more basketball, if you like.
Expensive. So you think Trent inverting in a slot system rather than a Klopp system would make Liverpool look better because obviously we have better personnel, we have better midfielders. Because when Trent was inverting heavily under Klopp, I think the first time we saw it was 22-23. Fabinho was done, Hendo was done, Jones was in and out. We saw it last season, and obviously we didn't have the right personnel and the number 6 in there. Does Trent inverting depend on the personnel we have, or the system we play, or an accumulation of both?
It's an accumulation of both. But there was a point I forgot to mention.
But maybe that's why he tried to get Zubimendi. Maybe that would have allowed Trent to invert a lot more easier because we have elite controllers in there. Or would we not need to invert Trent if we got Zubimendi? That's another question.
Generally speaking, the left back or right back invert, or if you're Ange and you invert both,
go for them.
Ourselves really exposed. I think what is the big thing with Arnie Slot is he doesn't let Robbo go as much as Jurgen Klopp used to.
Yeah, of course.
If you check a lot of the stuff, a lot of the games that under Jurgen Klopp, we used to have 2 fullbacks up and down, especially in previous years where they were effectively wingers. Later on, even when we tried to invert or did invert Trent, Robertson was still generally on the halfway line, so we were playing a more of a 2-2-6. Here with Arnie Slot, it's more of a 3-2 build-up. With Robertson, as we've discussed many times, is deeper in the line of defense. So when we do lose the ball, we got an extra man, and we've been crying out for that. And I think it's still safer for us under the Arnie Slot system for Trent to do that. Why? To get the control, to get the numerical advantage in midfield. And if we do lose the ball, then our 3 in the last line can cover the space a lot better than just Van Dijk and Konate that were seen in the Jurgen Klopp system. So I think, Spurs through. So Man City are out. Yeah, that's good.
City out.
So I think I want to see more of it, Sarib, and I think Trent can be coached into making a lot more shorter passes. He's a great footballer. He can make long passes. He can make short passes. He can make any pass that is in football. So, but my concern is are we utilizing him? And maybe that's the reason why we haven't seen the kind of assists from Trent, because he's getting used to this role as well.
Question for you. That's what I was going to ask you. Do you think do you think he's too used to being the creator, the elite creator for Liverpool, which is why he's not maybe willing to go back to it? Because over the last 7 or 8 years, I see he's, regardless of where he's playing, if he's up and down, whether he's playing at right midfield, or if he's playing, on the touchline, or he's playing inverting midfield, he has always been Liverpool's number one creator alongside Mo Salah. And I think that might be a bit different this season. That might be a bit different this season.
Yeah,
We're so obsessed with
I know
midfield.
what you mean, Sarib. I know what you mean.
That's why there's a lot of questions around this. I think.
Like if you listen to Trent and you listen to Arnie Slot, they're all both talking about, every Liverpool player is talking about these 1v situations, and Arnie Slot will make a Trent a better defender, a better footballer, a more complete footballer. And if it's to the if Liverpool are benefiting through his development, and it takes his own personal influence away from the team,
so be it.
Then so be it. I don't give a crap. If Liverpool are winning matches, I don't give a crap. But the only reason why I'm saying it is because he's such a massive integral part of our creativity in previous years.
Yeah,
you still want him on the ball, and only time will tell which party is right. If we can strike a balance between inversion and overlapping and underlapping, and him having the ball in midfield to feet, then let's see what happens. But I think he might find it easier or more of a license to come into midfield with Arnie Slot in the last month or so playing Ryan Gravenberch more of a single pivot. Generally speaking, I know we still see the double pivot a lot of times, but especially against teams where we need to have a one man extra. Who are, like today, for example, if at times Brighton were parking a bus with 6 men, so we were letting both fullbacks go. So if you have got like a 3-1 structure, a 3-1-6, I think if you've got 2 10s like we saw today, I think you've got Trent coming into midfield and completing like a box midfield, if you like. But I think Trent has got so much variety to his game. He can adapt. But like I said, if Liverpool are winning football matches, I don't care what we're doing with Trent, as long as we're getting 3 points on a weekly basis. But I think we should touch on the goalkeeper, the guy between the sticks, Sarib. I thought he had that cameo against Bournemouth. I think he was bag on nerves when he came on. You could tell, because it was such an important part of the game. But he made that unbelievable save. Well, not unbelievable save, but he stood tall against that 1-on-1 when Eze went through on goal. But I think today, Sarib, he looked really assured. It's a lot easier to prepare for a game rather than telling you, getting the instructions from your manager 10 minutes before the final whistle blows, saying you're coming on with a lead to protect. But today, I thought he was brilliant.
Yeah, absolutely. And to be fair to Yaros, it might have been what's the word? He might have been unsure. I know Arnie Slot said that Yaros wanted to leave Liverpool in the summer as well, because he knew he wasn't going to get games. Obviously, Adrian was offered a new contract. He said no. And obviously, Arnie Slot then decided that Yaros was going to be Liverpool's third choice. I can't remember if he played in pre-season. I think he did. There was a game that he played. I can't highlight the game on the top of my head. I can't remember the team. But I know Arnie Slot's a big fan, and he's big. He looks very, very strong. Looks good. And again, I said a lot of question marks about our goalkeeping situation. Obviously, with Mamardashvili to come in next summer, with Kelleher's future, with Alisson's injury problems, Yaros got his opportunity, and boy has he taken it. Asim, boy has he taken it in the against Crystal Palace. I think a lot of fans were nervous because it was a 1-0 lead at the moment, and obviously Palace at home. We have a few nightmares there. I know we have. But he's a really good keeper. The side obviously is still early, but I do believe that he is a good goalkeeper, and wherever he goes, because obviously I don't think he's going to be Liverpool's number one ever, but wherever he goes, that team has got a really, really good goalkeeper. Really, really good goalkeeper.
Is Alisson nervous?
I don't think Alisson's nervous about Yaros Sakella. I think Alisson might be nervous.
I'm only joking. He's not nervous. He's enjoying his steak.
Barbecue. You see on the Arsenal, he's having a barbecue. I said it to one of my friends. When he retires, he's gonna turn into R9. He's gonna have a pot belly, fat cigar in his mouth, sunglasses on the beach, barbecue, coming to the Ballon d'Or ceremony about 110 kg.
Let's discuss. Let's go to the Cody Gakpo segment of the show, as you sit back and smirk even bigger, gets larger on your face, I should say. Sarib, that ball from Tyler Morton was a brilliant ball, but then it was all about Cody.
let me tell you something about Cody. When he's in that position, when he's got the ball to feet and he's cutting inside onto his right foot, we saw it at the Euros, we saw it at PSV Eindhoven, we've seen it time and time again when he's played on the left hand side for Liverpool, regardless of the opposition. GK, regardless of the opposition. GK, Asim, GK.
Oh, GK, sorry, I was looking at the comments.
Inside joke. But regardless of the opposition, we've seen it a lot from Carabao Cody. I like to call him Carabao Cody because he's kind of turned into a star man in the cup, hasn't he? Even last season, he's kind of Jay liked it. Spy on Cop. He really liked that. He nicked it from me as well. Big up Jay. No, but Asim, when he's in that position, his ball striking ability, Asim, is the best at the club. And when he cuts in into that, I saw your emoji as well. When he cuts in onto that right foot from the left hand side, it's cash money. It is cash money. When he gets going, his ball striking ability is a top level. And I know we all have our question marks about his output, his pace. Can he get going very, very quickly against opposition that are really, really good? He struggles at that GK. But you can't deny both those goals were world-class finishes from Cody Gakpo, and from a similar area, he's really starting to show his quality. And I think this season Arne Slot has rotated well with Diaz and Gakpo. When Diaz comes in, he delivers. When Gakpo comes in, he delivers, regardless of the opposition. And I kind of really like that battle between those two.
Do you think Gakpo can get to Mane in terms of output?
Can Gakpo get to Mane in terms of output? I think he definitely does have the goal scoring ability. I think you look at his size, you look at how he can strike a ball, you look at the position he gets himself in. The question mark about Cody Gakpo is his intensity, and can he keep that up for 90 minutes, and will he get enough starts to do that? Because definitely he can get high output. Sadio Mane was a freak. Now he's always, I don't like this comparison because Diaz and Gakpo are always going to be compared to the previous left winger we had, but they are not to the level. Diaz and Gakpo around here. Mane is top level, was top 5 best players in the world. He was on the Ballon d'Or podium. Sadio Mane 3, he finished a couple of years ago, second, I think, behind Benzema. So let's not disrespect Sadio Mane here. But can Cody Gakpo get the output of Sadio Mane? I would be happy even if you got half of that, because if you've got 2 wingers getting 15 goals a season, Asim, that's Mane. Because you put those, like I say, if you dissect Mane in half, it's Diaz and Gakpo. When you put them together, it's Sadio Mane. So I'm not too sure. I really hope so. But Gakpo is really, really knocking on that door, Asim. But Diaz's early form is really, really good. But Gakpo, you see slots playing him a lot more. He started against Chelsea, started against Crystal Palace, he started again today. Obviously, Diaz came in against Arsenal. He probably start on the weekend. But if Gakpo keeps delivering output like this, obviously Diaz did score today, out position. But if Gakpo keeps delivering like this, Asim, what do you really do? What do you really do?
He can just keep on knocking on the door. We were talking about Shimikas and Robbo. You know what is surprising me, Sarib? I know we all, especially you, said, look, his best position is LW. But even at PSV, even though on paper he was playing left wing, but if you checked his heat maps out, a lot of the ball that he was receiving was in the left inside channels. So he was coming inside with the left back overlapping. I think Arne Slot is making Cody Gakpo into a width fixer, and that's what's surprising me, where he holds width a lot of the time, and that is a development I am seeing in his game that's really, really encouraging for me, because I didn't think he had that ability. And when you bring the intensity, this new intensity, and I've always talked about in this season that he looks a bit leaner, he looks quicker, he looks stronger. If he's bringing that intensity from the wide positions to inside positions and carrying the ball, and then have that ball striking ability that we know is the best in the club, then you have a serious player. My only thing is Cody Gakpo is sometimes I think he needs to believe in himself.
Okay.
I sometimes Amir says, "Oh no, not another word." That's a term.
You've used that one before.
I've used that before. What it means is a player who can stay wide, who can stress the opposition, who can stay wide and hold width. That's the best. The Sarib, have I lost you? Hello? Have you gone? Still there? Okay, we'll carry on. So yeah, So I was talking about Cody Gakpo. I think I'm really encouraged to see him. And if you see, especially, I'm privileged to get a really good insight when I'm behind the bench at Anfield. The amount of times, if Cody Gakpo is playing this side closer to the dugout for that 45 minutes, if Arnie Slot screams about 10 times in that half, giving out instructions,
Yeah,
eight eight of them on average are to his left winger, stay wide, stay wide, stay wide. Cody, stay wide, and then he tells them when to jump on off off the ball. But honestly, I'm really encouraged by him. I want him. In all honesty, is can Cody Gakpo do it at the very big
yeah, fair enough.
stage?
Yeah, that's fair enough.
I think that question mark is still there. With all due respect, Sarib.
Of course, of
But
course.
at the moment, what he's doing is giving the manager a massive
Like,
headache. And I love it because Diaz knows if he's not going to perform and if he's not going to bring output, whether it's assists and goals to his name, he'll find himself on the bench. And who benefits? It's Liverpool.
I think it's a healthy battle between those two, Asim. Obviously, at the moment, you know me, I love Cody Gakpo, and I was one of the I've always said start Gakpo as a left winger, and you'd see it because I always believe that is his best position, and I do like it this season that he's starting this season as a left winger because he's finally getting to play in a role that he's familiar with. Maybe not so familiar because he's, again, like you said, he's playing a lot wider, but I still think he makes those runs into the box like we saw against Crystal Palace. He got the assist for Jota. Jota came in with the run late again today. He's cutting inside from the left hand side, but the question mark is still there. I don't think he had a bad game against Chelsea. I don't think he was particularly great. But I think we need to see more from Gakpo in these games against your Arsenals, your Man Uniteds, your Villas. This is where you're going to have your real test, your Man Cities. Diaz at the moment holds that shirt.
Yeah.
But if Gakpo keeps knocking on the door in these games, like you said, it only benefits Liverpool Football Club. And long may it continue. Because I think the battle is healthy.
I think in the defense of both wingers, Diaz and Gakpo, over the last week or so, we've seen them come up against Chelsea and Arsenal, and only Manchester City will provide a sterner test compared to those two teams. I think in their defense, Sarib, they were starved of the possession as well, or the situation that you really want them to see them in. I think Diaz had one in the second half where he took Partey through the legs and then just ran over, and I think the ball tickled to the keeper. But with Cody Gakpo, I think he was the reason why Cody Gakpo came on in the defense of Luis Diaz is because Arsenal's press was so aggressive. Liverpool went long, and you could see. And I think I read a stat today that Thomas Partey won the most duels and tackles in that game, and it's one of the highest ever recorded for an Arsenal game.
Wow,
that shows you it was a clear tactic by Liverpool to go long because they thought Luis Diaz has got the Partey's number. But credit to Partey, he withstood the threat of Liverpool. And this is the reason why I thought Cody Gakpo came on, because his natural frame, natural physicality, in theory, would have created. And that's where Mane was unbelievable at, where we could be shit and we could just hoink a ball, just like what we do. And he just chest a goal kick and then turn and run at the defense. And all of a sudden, the game has changed because Mane has produced a moment of magic. And I think that's what we do to Salah. And Salah as good as Mane, controlling the ball, plucking the ball out of thin air and going again, turning the defenses? No. Is Salah better at rolling defenders, using that low center of gravity, big shoulders? I think that's Salah's strength. Even though Salah isn't bad at holding and plucking the ball out of thin air, which we've seen this year. So, yeah, I agree with Cody Gakpo, his development. I think it's encouraging signs for Liverpool. And let's see what happens. It could mean Cody Gakpo starts at the weekend, but I think Cody Gakpo is showing the type of form, Sarib, that I know I've been a critic of him because I want that elite level, because I know the potential in this player, because he's still young, and those rough edges, if they are sanded down or harnessed, there's a special player there. But whether he does that or not, or doesn't, it's a different story altogether. Let's read some. Can you ask Asim Sarib? Can he play ST?
No, I used to play for my uni and my college. I was either a right back or a right centre back in the three. I'm only 5'7", so I was that. They used to call me Aspilicueta, but I'm more of a right back. I can do the right back role. Trent's leaving. Might have to stick me there. Give Conor
Yeah, so I was talking about it, that. So and Arj says 100% Asim, we're crying out for someone to win their duels in midfield more. I feel when we come up against someone like Rice, you could see the difference. I think that's more to do with our midfield, Arj.
Yeah.
We were more talking about Gakpo and Luis Diaz. Is I think against elite teams, and this is where the topic of sort of discussion that we were having about Trent inverting, having more controlling games. I think if we generate more controlling games, we can isolate elite teams fullback more. And in the situation and the games against Arsenal and Chelsea, Sarib, we didn't create those situations for them where they can just have one-v situations. We were just hoinking the ball up, and there's a reason for that. Arsenal are one of the best structures off the ball, and their press is really aggressive. Sometimes they forced you, and in the second half, to Liverpool's defense and in praise, we did that to Arsenal. I know Arsenal back four change and their sort of build up was really effective. Affected any team who lose 2-3 their main defenders in the game are going to be affected. And the back four that they finished with was more or less the second choice.
Does that
I think Liverpool. Does that concern
you as a fan watching that?
In terms of what concerns me, that we couldn't create those situations.
Yeah, especially I understand we are playing the top teams, but like you said,
in terms of physicality and legs, I've touched on it for the last week or two. I think I'm slightly concerned against Lavia and Caicedo. I think as a double pivot, that is one of the best in the Premier League. Against Rice, Partey coming in from midfield, Havertz dropping in from midfield from false nine positions. In terms of physicality and control, I think any team is going to struggle against those types of personnel.
So you're only saying it's going to be a problem against the top teams, Arsenal.
Yes.
Yeah, okay, that's right. No, I get that. But how do you address that is what I'm asking. How do you fix that problem?
One, I think Trent needs to come into midfield more. We've already touched on it. Two, we need to add physicality into that area. Left back is another option. At the moment, we don't have the physicality, natural physicality from Gravenberch or McAllister. We have more physicality from Curtis Jones and Szoboszlai. I know Gravenberch has shown interceptions and
aerial duels,
ability and aerial duels. But in terms of covering ground, he's not a Curtis Jones. He's not a Szoboszlai, is he? And then at the left back area, we do have a left back that can lock down and pin wingers. So we do lack physicality in that area. So that's another way we can improve. So, and in terms of structure as well, I think this passive 4-2-4, it doesn't help that double pivot. And we saw that against Chelsea. We saw again against Arsenal the weekend. And we have to give credit to Arne Slot. He tweaked it. He saw them inverting. And I think he mentioned it, that Arsenal can set up in 20, 30 different ways. And that's what he meant, that they started inverting Partey. They started getting Havertz dragging out our McAllister midfield. Have vacated the space in midfield in the central areas. But can Liverpool, and he tweaked it by us being a lot more aggressive, and we squeezed them a lot more and forced them long. And I know we touched on their defense being really weakened, but in terms of structure, Liverpool, to their credit, were a lot more aggressive. But
tweaks.
Few more performances to go through, Sarib. If you want to touch on a few comments, go for it. Muzzy is a Man United fan, by the way. He says slot ball is boring. What I would say, Sarib,
I think that's good. I think that's a good thing, though. I think if people find it boring, that's a good thing because it's clearly working. Boring. Look, I understand boring football. We're obviously you want to, as a neutral, you want to watch great football. And I do think Liverpool play good football. At times, the passing patterns we put out today were ridiculous. We scored 2 ridiculous goals. You saw against Leipzig. There's elements of Slot's game that are still of the pass regime. The way we can ping the ball around, how we counter-attack really, really quickly. Look at the goal against Brentford. But Asim, I think we're much more controlled, and I think boring is another word for controlled. And he's going to say boring because he's a United fan, because he's seeing Liverpool top of the league, winning every game in the Champions League, while they've sacked their bold Dutch manager 2 months into the season. I understand. But no, put all bias aside, I think Man City are boring. I think Arsenal at times are
Yeah,
boring.
yeah.
But the top teams have to play this way if you want to get results, because ultimately you have to grind out results. You look at Man City when they're 1-0 up. You don't see, you don't, generally speaking, generally Arsenal and Man City when they're 1-0 up, they look like they're going to win the game from the 10th minute. That was not the case with Liverpool last season, which is why I ultimately said we won't win the title, and City and Arsenal would obviously finish ahead of us. This season, I'm going to say I don't think Arsenal are going to win the league now. I've changed my mind. I said Arsenal. I don't think Arsenal will do it. I think Manchester City will win it, and I think Liverpool will finish second. Because
Wow.
from what I've seen, City and Liverpool are much more boring, but they're much more controlled from what I've seen Arsenal this season, in my opinion. I don't think the way Arsenal play is sustainable, relying on your defense, because the Premier League is getting stronger. Teams that are like Villa, your Brighton, they're going to get stronger. Attacking players are getting better, and you can't sustain that pressure for 90 minutes.
Do you think that'll change when Odegaard comes back?
It will, absolutely. But I think it'd be too far gone.
Okay.
I think Liverpool and City will be too far gone in terms of points.
What did you make of Szoboszlai and Curtis Jones being the two up top?
Did we really have a choice though? Obviously, Jota's out. Nunez is going to start the game on the weekend. Chiesa's out. I genuinely only believe he did that because there's no personnel available. I believe that.
We could have played Gakpo up top.
Yeah, but then who do you play on the wing? Diaz. Who do you play on the right wing? Szoboszlai. Yeah, he could have done Gakpo, Diaz, Szoboszlai. Yeah, absolutely. But would you play two players out of position or one? That's how I looked at it. You play Gakpo in his right position. Szoboszlai is basically still playing the number 10, but as the second striker when he presses. But he's still playing in the middle area, and Diaz is off the right, which he's played before. So that's how I kind of looked at it. I wasn't a fan of it particularly because I think Szoboszlai needs someone maybe to play off sometimes.
Okay.
But I'm not sure. I've never seen us play that way. It was new to me. It was interesting to see because I didn't think Szoboszlai could do it. But do you think he did it well?
I think a lot of people will like a focal point. Everyone likes a focal point. Darwin Núñez has been brilliant for the last week or so. But I was having a conversation when I got told the team in the afternoon that he needs to protect Darwin Núñez, and I'm not surprised that he's on the bench tonight. But I think if the more we're getting to know Arne Slot, our manager, is that he wants an integral intensity, not integral, whether it's Jota or Szoboszlai, whether it's Jota or Szoboszlai. Generally speaking, Szoboszlai has been the second striker, number 10 this year. But the situation arose that he played Curtis Jones and Szoboszlai as the two, where his best pressers were going from the center of the pitch. And if you want Brighton, especially a football inside, to go down the areas that you're forcing him down, to play out into wide areas and making him squeeze them out to areas that you want them to, funnel the ball where you want the ball to go to. And that's what Liverpool were doing. And if you've got such legs in Szoboszlai and Curtis Jones, then I'm all up for it. They screened the double pivot really well. And it was, at times, it was a 4-4-2 rather than a 4-2-4. And I like that. And I've been crying out for this 4-2-4. It relies on, being really, really aggressive. If you're not aggressive and you're passive, the distance between the midfield and the defense will be too big. And the extreme example of that, Sarib, is Man United. How many times have you seen Carragher talk about Man United's distances? Because they're having a aggressive press. We go with 6 people or 5 lads, 4-2-4, and then leaving a massive gap between their deep line because they don't have the likes of Kanate and Virgil van Dijk to squeeze the opposition on the high line. But I think if Liverpool do it in this way, where they screens the midfield, I think it looked decent. And yes, you will have some deficiencies where you're not having the natural movements of a number 9. But horses for courses. I think Liverpool really controlled Brighton, suffocated possession from them, bar the second half after we scored. I think after we went 2-0 up, even though I'm talking to myself now, but it's okay. But I think I kind of liked it. And the way they connected the play, came into midfield and went towards the, connected to play in midfield. I think although he had his sort of question marks and weaknesses. I think as a one-off, I think we did well, and I know there's a lot of teams know every single thing about teams
Yeah,
in terms of their preseason. Um, it's research on every single manager, every single team. Everyone knows everything about it these days because there's so much data analysis and footage around these days. But I'm all in for having a little different idea on the midweek and then going tried and tested with Brighton at home to Anfield. You don't want to lay all your cards on the table and say, okay, this is what we're going to try again on Saturday, and for you to work on it for the next 3-4 days. I said it before the game. I wanted Liverpool to try something out, and when you don't have Darwin Núñez, you have to play a different way. When you don't have Szoboszlai or Salah, you have to work on a different dynamic, and that's what Liverpool did tonight.
yeah, of course. I think we saw it at times with our press as well, Asim, with the Jones and Szoboszlai. Again, I think it's depending on the opposition that we play. Brighton obviously play out. They've always played out under De Zerbi, under Potter. They do the same thing under Fabian Hertzler. And we saw times Jason Steele, although he's very comfortable on the ball, we saw how many times was it nervous where Szoboszlai nearly got the ball, Jones nearly got the ball. And I think having having two players that's such aggressive in the press coming from central areas, like you say, I think against teams that play it from the back, I think this could be a cheat code. But again, the likes of Brighton who like to play out from the back. I'm trying to think of another team that play out from the back. Against, I think if we play like this, like a Southampton, for example, who love playing out from the back, I think that could be a really, really thing to look at. But let's get into some of the cons of today. I think they maybe it's not so much a con, but a player that's definitely under some sort of question, under some sort of there's some eyes on him more so from the Liverpool fan base. Jarrell Kwanzaa and City, thank you for the super chat, says not liking Slot, cruel to sub Kwanzaa also for harsh sub. We'll get to that question, but Asim, I want to ask you. Normally, you're the one asking the questions. Kwanzaa comes into the team. What did you make of his overall performance today? Because he's not played much football, has he, this season? League wise and Champions League.
Yeah, I think he struggled at times.
Yeah.
But I think you hit the nail on the head, Sarib, is football time.
Yeah, exactly. No, of course.
He's hardly played any football since he got taken off. I'd be interested to know exactly how many minutes he's played for Liverpool since he got taken off at Ipswich. But City uses the word cruel. I don't think it's cruel. There's no cruelty in football as long as your decision is proven right. And I think it's Arne Slot, whether it's a young player or a senior player. We've seen it with Robertson playing tonight. The talk is that he doesn't start at the weekend. There's no loyalty in football and there's no sentiment in football. Once you start picking your team on sentiment and loyalty, then I think that's unfair on the player, unfair on yourself, unfair on the fans, unfair on the team, and you'll soon get yourself into trouble. And this is honestly a point that we have to highlight every single time. It does look harsh. It does look cruel. I know what he's saying, but at the end of the day, it's for the betterment of the team. And look how great Kanate has been since. And we can't be too harsh on Kwanzaa. He's 2021. I think he shouldn't have come inside today. He used the ball on his left foot. I think.
Yeah.
He should have played the pass with his right foot straight away the moment he came inside.
He did something similar against Man United at Old Trafford as well. He did something very, very similar with his left, and Bruno was in. I think that is a lack of experience, though.
It is lack of game time, lack of decision making. But I don't know. I think when in settled possession, I think Kwanzaa, he can manipulate the ball really well. He can carry it. We've seen it, not like Joel Matip. I think he's shown that he can carry the ball really well.
Ball carrying.
But I think under like high pressing teams, I think there's a question mark on there. Whether that's a lack of ability, lack of development, lack of match time, maybe it's an accumulation of everything.
But the BNR live draw, is this going to be a thing? So are we going to do this together?
Okay, get it up if you can.
I think we have to.
Get it up if you can.
I'm going to see if I can get up now.
Have you got a dodgy stream?
No, I've got Sky. Go me.
Sky, yeah.
Yeah, I've got Sky Go. I'm gonna get it on now. I don't know what
Who's in the draw? United, Arsenal, Liverpool.
Spurs,
4. That's 4. Who won between Newcastle and Chelsea? Newcastle.
Newcastle won. Yeah,
It's
Newcastle.
Southampton versus Liverpool.
Oh, what did I just... Are we away?
I've just seen Josh's message. We're away, yeah. I take
Southampton.
that. I take that.
Yeah, we played them in the FA Cup last. Yeah, I will take that. I think that's going to be 6-0 to Liverpool. I'll be honest. I tell you already. The way they play, it's
See,
just going to be. We're going to have a field day. We're going to have an absolute field day.
We've got Southampton away. I take that. But the only thing is, like, we didn't make the trip to South Coast today. That's another long trip to make on midweek.
It's literally come on my screen now. Southampton versus Liverpool. I'll take that. Yeah, but we're into the. If we win this, are we in the quarter? No, this is going to be played in December, I believe. This game, just before Christmas. I think this is this. I think this is the. Is this the last 8 of the Carabao Cup? Then we play the semi-finals.
This is the last 8 now.
Yeah. So
any word on the other?
Tottenham versus Manchester United, Arsenal versus Palace, Newcastle versus Brentford, Southampton versus Liverpool. We should win this competition.
Is there another draw after this as well for the semi-final?
Not too sure. I'll see.
That'd be good to know. Or is it like the winners play this semi-final? I think it's just a round.
I think
a draw every round.
I think they're doing it now. They might be doing it now. No, they're not. But look, you look at the teams in that. Asim, you look at the teams: Arsenal, Tottenham, Manchester. We should win this. We should have a nice day out to Wembley. We should have. Oh, there's another draw.
Muzzy says another draw. So yeah, another draw. I think it used to be like that. Chalo, I think we've just discussed more or less everything. How do you see the weekend game going, Sarib?
I think
8 more changes.
I think we're gonna have to. I'm not. Jota obviously said he's a couple of weeks away. Chiesa, who I'm a bit concerned about as well. I really want to see him play.
Chiesa, what's your take on Chiesa? Apparently, he can't cope with the intensity of Liverpool's training.
I've seen some absolute nonsense online about Chiesa saying he's unhappy at Liverpool. Liverpool potentially loaning him to Inter Milan or Bologna or this and that. It's absolute BS. I've never seen a man smile so much signing for Liverpool. in my life, I don't know if you watched this. You've seen the video. Yeah. Wow, so happy. I cannot believe he's just so happy. He was in awe. So that's definitely not the issue. But you would though, Asim, wouldn't you? I know you played the Euros, but he had no preseason again at Juve or Liverpool. I think he played a couple of games for Juve in preseason, but he didn't have a proper preseason. Obviously, out of Thiago Motta's plans. I don't know what it is. It's not an injury with Chiesa, is it? Is it a fitness issue? Is it injury? I don't know what it is, but it is something that's clearly bothering Arne Slot, and I don't want him to be rushed back because there's definitely a quality player in there, and he's definitely a player that will be useful in the season. Let's not mistake, because there will be injuries to Salah, Diaz, Gakpo, and there will be a time where his time will come, and I want him to be able to deliver. I want him to be able to deliver.
Oh, a big shout out to Abid Hussain. He says on a show and the bloody draw of the EFL is just being made. This is my friend, not even a friend, Sarib. He's a brother. He's a coach at Preston North End, believe it or not.
Really?
I don't know how you passed that interview. He probably
First team,
under 18s, I think he is. And he promised my nephew some tickets to the game because he's an Arsenal fan. He wanted to see his beloved Arsenal at Preston. It's very local. Abid ignored all my calls today, and it's nice to see him in the building. Nice to see him. Thank you very much for getting back to my calls, Abid. And thanks for the pair of tickets tonight. It was a brilliant game. Asim, leave it out. Okay. Weekend predictions. Just quick one. I'm sure we'll have some preview shows later on.
3-0 Liverpool.
3-0. Wow, we're keeping a clean sheet again.
Yeah, Van Dijk and Konate back in. I think we're at home. We'll be fine. The onus is obviously going to be on us. Brighton will obviously play. They can get a goal. Don't get me wrong, Brighton. But I'm going to be positive. I get called negative a bit too much. So I'm going to be a bit deluded. We're going to win 3-0 against Brighton, even though we haven't done it for a while. But I think we'll do them. I think we will.
Okay. There was a question from More.
More.
Yeah. We've had the super chat. I think we have to talk about Liverpool striker Ron Jota and now Dan's. I don't see him as long term. Yes. Not this question. This question. Asim, are the Alfonso Davies rumours true? If so, how does that change our setup? I don't think Liverpool are linked with Alfonso Davies. I don't think we get him. I don't know
Good
if we're interested in him. I don't know, but I don't think we get him.
Do you
I
think
don't
he'd be a good signing for Liverpool, though, Alfonso Davies, for the way we play? Touchline, up and down.
Yes, but
Because he's a winger, he's a winger,
I
isn't
don't.
he?
Yeah, I don't see Alfonso Davies and the type of left back in terms of coming on the outs, going on the outside.
Yeah, ridiculous.
Ridiculous.
Yeah.
He needs to start on the halfway line. Is he that kind of guy that is part of the three build up? He's
No.
not that player. He's not that player. And from what I remember, I think Tuchel realized this, and he just kept him as a fullback / winger. I can't remember who the manager was. It might have been Tuchel,
No, it
and
wasn't.
because they used him as a left back part of the build up, and I
Yeah.
think Tuchel realized that he's not that type of guy. He's the guy who's got bombs that up and down that flank. And but Liverpool need a lockdown left back who's comfortable in the first phase of build up, and that's not Robertson. That's kind of Shimikas, but obviously he has got his obvious deficiencies.
name.
He's not
Give me a
elite. Sorry?
Give me a name. Give me a name. Player.
A lot of people are talking about Ait Nouri. I don't think Ait Nouri is Liverpool quality for that role because I think he's another Alfonso Davies. I think his defensive qualities, there's a big question mark on it. Castello Luqueba. I think he's that player that he could really improve our team. What are you looking for?
If we get him, we're in business. I've been keeping an eye on him. If we get him, we're in business. We are in serious business. He's been excellent for Leipzig this season as well. I think they're joint top of the league with Bayern. You get him. I know he's just. I think he just signed a new deal as well. Though Asim, I think until 2028.
Yeah, there was some talk about a release clause as well, wasn't there?
And it does get progressively, less and less every season. But I think there's been talk about Real Madrid wanting him. Real Madrid are in the market.
Is DiMarco more of a wing back?
Yes. Yeah, he is. He is more. He's I think he's defensively good, but his best work is going forward. I saw at the Euros. Yeah. I know Inter Milan play with the 3 as well, but he is. He's always up and down. But I don't think that's a player we will go for, especially his age. I think he's about 26 now, DiMarco. Knowing our board, we go for players below that. So,
have you seen much of Hato from Ajax?
Not too much. I know we like him. I know Arsenal like him. I know Real Madrid like him. Jerome Hato is I read about him a lot because a lot of people talking about a lot of rival fans talking about him on Twitter. So they're saying bring Hato in. He's going to be the next one up. He's going to be one of future of Dutch football, likened to the likes of how Nathan Ake plays that left centre back role. I don't know how similar how well you'd compare them, but that's what I read. I'm going to have a little look at him as well.
I need to watch Hato as well. I need to watch him.
We've been linked with that guy that's Benfica got from Man United. I think it's Alvaro Carreras or something his name is. I think someone's.
Oh yeah. I think we were linked with him as well in the summer.
Man United got a buyback clause on him though.
Oh,
yeah.
Talking to Man United, what do you think of Amorim?
Oh, I tweeted about this. They've got a good manager, Asim. I think they've got a good coach. I think they've got a really, really good coach with a good style of play with an identity. The only issue I have now, Asim, and I think why have West Ham, why have Barcelona, why have Liverpool turned their nose at him when he was in the market? I don't understand the structure of Man United. So you go look for a manager in the summer when Amorim's clearly available. You then can't find a manager good enough to replace Ten Hag. You then give him shitloads of money to buy De Ligt and Mazraoui and Yoro and Ugarte. Results are not great, knowing already that was an issue coming into the season. You sack him, and then you go for a guy who you could have got in summer. When you clearly said that there was no one good enough available. It's new board, same nonsense. It doesn't make any sense to me. But regardless, I think Amorim's a good coach. We spoke about him a lot on the show. He might be the man to fix Man United. And I'm not saying I hope so, but I am a bit afraid because I think he is a good manager. He's a really good coach. What do you take on it? Because you're a tactician yourself. What do you make of Man United? I think they got a good one. I think they got a good one. I think they might have got it right this time.
Liverpool obviously talked to him in the summer. I think Liverpool wanted more of a coach.
Yes, man.
And yeah, if you really want to be straight over, a yes man, a coach with a structure above him and have the structure having the control over the transfer policy. I think Slot fitted that role. I think this lad wanted a bit more control, well, a lot more control, and the likes of Michael Edwards were never going to agree to that. And I think the general feel in the public was, okay, Liverpool didn't really like his style. They didn't want to revert to a 3-4-3. Slot is a lot more similar to Klopp. Although those sort of factors had an element of truth in it, but I just don't think Liverpool were prepared to give that control to someone like Amorim. I think it needed wholesale changes. But
Yeah.
Liverpool, look, you have to say 2-3 months into the season, Liverpool have been proven right. Now, will Slot become really successful and win trophies? Time will tell. But at the moment, Liverpool have been proven right. He does seem to have a massive personality, where it's a fine line being a massive personality and someone sort of causing trouble. Tuchel wins things, falls out with someone in upstairs, and ends up leaving. But with him, I think Liverpool and likes of Man United and all these big clubs, they need more of a manager / politician as well, where you're all in the eyes of the media. You need to say the right things. You need to be a manager, and you need to be a brilliant coach on and off the field, and you need to be a good communicator. And I think he ticks all those boxes, and he does have a philosophy. And I don't see where Ten Hag. They told me that he's a good coach. There's a philosophy. We saw in the Champions League when they had that brilliant run. You saw an identity in the Ajax team. It was a brilliant team to watch. But then he came and they gave him 100 million. He blew it in the likes of Anthony and these guys. And the identity went. You could see the identity in those 3 games in America in a couple of seasons ago, in pre-season. And I think he started playing expansive football, box midfields and all that sort of stuff. And then he's realized he just doesn't have the players, and they got absolutely battered in those first 2-3 games. I think one of them games was like a 4-1 or a 4-0 against Brentford away, where they got absolutely battered. And then he just ripped everything out that he's been training in pre-season, and then reverted back to counter-attacking football. And he is a manager now, Amorim, who has got from football, and identity, aggressive press, man-to-man, 3-4-3. All these possession-based principles, whether you can do it with the likes of Lisandro Martinez, Harry Maguire, Casemiro in a big, massive pitch at Old Trafford week in, week out, is another thing. I think they do need to give him time. He will get time. But do Man United have time? Do fans have that patience? Because the likes of Chelsea, the likes of Liverpool, the likes of Arsenal, the likes of City will always, their trajectory is going that way. Man United has stagnated, or if not, fell back. Whether their fans have patience, it remains to be seen.
Can't get any worse from this. But before you go, Asim, I just want to do something very, very quickly. Don't take any offense to this, but viewers, look at Asim and look at Ruben Amorim. Tell me right now you don't see it. Tell me right now you don't look like Ruben Amorim. Asim, you slick your hair back, get a perm, you look like Ruben Amorim. I promise. I see it. Comments, get involved. Can you see it? Can you see it, Asim, or no?
I'm better looking.
He's a good good looking man. You're good looking.
He's a handsome fella. He's a handsome fella.
If you told me that's your brother, I believe you.
Maybe I get rejected by Man United, Liverpool, and flying in with a private jet come the summer. You never know.
All bias aside, I think he'll be the man to sort Man United out. I think they need someone with a bit.
Really?
I think he needs someone with a bit of balls. Ten Hag, he doesn't speak well in front of the media. Sometimes he struggles with a bit of questions.
Yeah.
Amorim speaks well. He chuckles. I don't want to say aura, because aura is the wrong word, but he dresses well. You got a nice haircut. It just kind of gives you a sense of. He looks like he has some sort of personality, identity. You know, like your Pep, your Klopp. They've got a good media face. They can answer questions well, and I hope they don't. I hope they do bad, but he is a good coach, and I have been keeping up with Sporting Lisbon. They're doing really well this season. I think he will do a good job at Man United. I personally believe that. All bias aside.
Give me a name on Saturday. Totally different topic. Who's going to start at left wing on Saturday against Brighton?
Diaz. Luis Diaz.
Okay.
Oh, no, actually. Did Diaz play 90 minutes today? No, I'm gonna go Gakpo. Gakpo came off, didn't he? 70th minute, I think he came off Gakpo. I'm gonna go Cody
Let's
Gakpo.
see what the chat think. Let's see what the chat think.
I think it was gonna be Cody Gakpo. I think it's gonna be Gakpo, Nunez, and Salah. I think
Faraz says Gakpo.
I think it's gonna be Gakpo. I'll be honest. I don't think that's the question that we need to ask. I think the question who's starting at left back. I think that's the big question. Who starts left back? I think left wing. I think it's going to be Gakpo.
City says I think Gakpo starts.
I think as well.
Okay.
Amir says he don't look like Amarim though. He says no. He disagrees. Well, fair enough. Asim is better looking.
A lot of Gakpos. A lot of Gakpos.
Gakpo starts. I think he
Who
does.
starts at left back, chat, before we go?
Tsimikas.
One name, left back.
I think Tsimikas Gakpo works well, personally. I think it works really well.
Diaz
played full 90. Yeah, he did. He moved from right to left. Good goal, by the way. We didn't even discuss Diaz's goal. Very good goal, by the way. Very, very good goal.
Brilliant. Oh, a lot of shimikases. You have to ride the hot hand.
Oh, here's Avi's burner.
Is this Avi's burner?
Hello, Avi.
Hello, Avi. Kirkes. Good player, you know. Good player. Saw him against Liverpool. Saw him at first hand a couple of times at Anfield. Surprised how strong he is. Very cultured left back.
Is he stocky? Is he stocky? Like
he's stocky. Wide frame.
Reece James
shoulders. Yes, but I just hope he doesn't have Reece James' knees. But yeah, strong legs. He's what I call a cultured left back who can defend and go forward. Cultured.
Yeah.
Ahmed says Gomez at left back. I can't see it. I think Arne Slot wants natural balance on the inside and the outside. If we were going to see Gomez, I think we would have seen it by now. Okay, I think that's the wrap, Sarib. It's been 1 hour, 20 minutes. And I think we've not even mentioned hit the like button once.
So when we talk about
call ourselves YouTubers, call ourselves content creators, because we get indulged in such conversation, insightful conversation, football talk. We forget to ask. Well, if you're watching now, there's still just under 100 people here. Smash the like. We're providing content on a consistent basis for you guys. And Asim looks more like Emre Can. There we are. It's a shame I didn't have a 10 million signing off fee if I leave BNR. Smash a like, guys. And if you're watching the show later, smash a like, leave us a comment, and share all the good stuff that we provide you. But Liverpool have brushed aside Brighton, albeit by a few deflections. I think it was a lot more comfortable than that. And let's see what happens on Saturday. See you again. Are we going again? What is it? Wednesday? We're going the Chip and Cheen show. The Chip and Cheen maybe goes live from Pakistan in Mirpur with the 4G and the 5G towers built up in there. But anyway, time for a bit of a chasha, and we shall see you very, very soon. Friday, we'll do the Chip and Cheen show. Saturday, we'll do instant match reaction. And if we don't do it, we'll come back on the Red Zone on Sunday. Until then, take care and have a good night. Bye-bye.